history isn't a series of random events. It's a sequence of deliberate designs. Most people think that modern subcultures and controversial movements appear out of thin air. But if you trace the strings back far enough, you realize the trap was set centuries ago. Let's understand where the Satanism came from. To find the root, we have to travel back to the 12th century, the brutal and blood-soaked era of the Crusades. Deep within Europe, a formidable elite military force emerged, known to the world as the Knights Templar. Nominally, they were devout warriors fighting against Muslims to claim the Holy Land. Behind the scenes, their operations transformed them into Europe's first megabankers, accumulating endless wealth, land, and unprecedented political leverage. But they harbored a secret, or at least, their enemies claimed they did. In 1307, the French king, Philip the Fair, found himself drowning in massive financial debt to the Templars. Realizing he couldn't pay them back, he orchestrated a swift, ruthless takedown. On a single Friday the 13th, he had them arrested, tortured, and slapped with the ultimate heresy charge: the worship of a grotesque entity named Baphomet. Look closely at this figure. Baphomet is a goat-headed idol, half human, half beast, sporting the breasts of a woman and the wings of a fallen angel. In Islamic literature, this entity is widely recognized as Baal. Today, a variant of this exact goat-headed icon stands as the official recognized symbol of the Church of Satan. Modern historians largely agree that the charges against the Templars were completely fabricated. At that time, worshipping Baphomet was used as the ultimate dirty slur to destroy an enemy. Centuries later, that exact slur would be flipped, repackaged, and transformed into an organized global religion. Fast forward to the mid-20th century. Enter Anton LaVey, an American occultist, musician, and former carnival worker who deeply understood the psychological mechanics of showmanship and human manipulation. In the early 1960s, operating out of his infamous Black House in San Francisco, LaVey formed an exclusive group called the Order of the Trapezoid. Every Friday night, this group gathered for lectures on the occult, ritual magic, and bizarre, provocative performance art designed to shock polite society. Then came the definitive shift. On April 30th, 1966, during the traditional night of Walpurgisnacht, LaVey ritually shaved his head, donned black robes, and declared the founding of the Church of Satan, designating himself as the Black Pope. According to LaVey's own writings, his brand of Satanism was completely atheistic. He repeatedly claimed he didn't believe in a literal God, nor did he believe in a literal supernatural devil. When he penned the Satanic Bible, he coded a system based entirely on three primary pillars: individual freedom and absolute autonomy, carnal indulgence and embracing primal human nature, rational skepticism mixed with aggressive anti-Christian satire. In short, LaVey's doctrine states that you should be the ultimate boss of your own life, entirely free from the moral constraints of religion or government. Human beings are their own gods. Therefore, no one should ever feel an ounce of guilt for pursuing natural human desires, whether that means material comfort, unbridled success, or physical pleasure. He advocated using cold, sharp logic to criticize traditional strict faiths, while utilizing dark humor and vicious sarcasm to mock the supernatural. On the surface, to a modern and secular mind, these beliefs sound highly liberal, progressive, and completely reasonable. But this is where the trick lies. While LaVey marketed this as modern freethinking, he was actually constructing the exact trap that Satan has wanted humanity to fall into since the dawn of creation: the absolute deification of the self. The philosophy of do whatever you want because your desires are absolute, you answer to no one, and you are better than everyone else is not new. It is line for line the exact response that Satan gave to God when he was commanded to bow before Adam. One of the absolute clearest passages exposing this psychological blueprint is found in the Quran in Surah Al-Isra, verses 11 and 12. Allah said, "What prevented you from prostrating when I commanded you?" Iblis said, "I am better than him. You created me from fire and created him from clay." Traditional religion teaches us the virtue of patience that forces us to think deeply before we leap, reminding us that every single action has an inescapable reaction, and that the human ego is far too weak to bear the ultimate consequences of its unbridled choices. LaVeyan Satanism tells you the exact opposite. It tells you that your ego is God, and when a society collectively decides that every individual is their own deity, the guardrails of civilization don't just bend, they fracture completely. Ideas are dangerous because you cannot control who catches them. Anton LaVey built a philosophy designed for comfortable, middle-class Americans who wanted to feel rebellious at weekend cocktail parties. He treated Satanism like a lucrative carnival attraction, but when you broadcast a philosophy of absolute lawlessness to the world, eventually someone is going to take you completely literally. Not so long after LaVey established his church, a dark, aggressive musical movement ignited in Scandinavia, specifically in Norway, during the early 1990s. This was the birth of the second wave of black metal. This period is heavily documented and remembered globally as a localized wave of pure terror.
To ban a form of music they say has disturbing satanic overtones. It's called black metal music and encourages devil worship and the desecration of churches. The campaign follows the jailing of 4 young men in Kent for causing more than £100,000 of damage to graveyards.
Satanism wasn't a sleek intellectual philosophy discussed in a San Francisco living room anymore. It was burning in the streets. More than 50 historic Christian churches in Norway were systematically targeted and burned down to the ground, leaving nothing but charred wood and ash. It is recorded in grim detail within international news archives that multiple core members of this musical inner circle weren't just playing a character, they were convicted of cold-blooded murder, violent assaults, and widespread vandalism. This real-world chaos was the ultimate manifestation of Anton LaVey's core belief: do whatever you want. When you tell young, impressionable minds that they are their own gods, that guilt is a lie, and that societal rules are shackles, this is the exact endpoint. Whether it means destroying history, burning buildings, or taking a human life. Under LaVey's logic, who is anyone else to tell them it's wrong? While Europe was burning, the rot was already destroying LaVey's empire from the inside out. The absolute proof that a system is broken is when the people who built it cannot survive within it. Enter Zina Shrek LaVey, Anton LaVey's own daughter. From childhood, Zina was used as the literal poster child for the Church of Satan, baptized in front of international media to prove that a satanic upbringing was enlightened and superior. She rose through the ranks to become the high priestess and the official public face of the church from 1985 to 1990, defending the organization on national television during the height of the media's hysteria. But the facade couldn't hold. In 1990, Zina completely severed ties with her father and his cult, executing a total public defection. She didn't just leave, she completely exposed him. In her highly critical exposés and public statements, Zina stripped away the myth of the Black Pope. She revealed that the Church of Satan was a deeply hypocritical, fraudulent, and corporate environment designed purely to enrich her father. More devastatingly, she characterized her entire upbringing under the LaVeyan philosophy as a deeply dysfunctional, manipulative, and abusive nightmare. The man who claimed to have decoded the ultimate path to human freedom couldn't even run a functional household. Following this internal collapse, the movement fractured. In 2013, a new organization entered the landscape, the Satanic Temple. On paper, LaVeyan Satanism and the Satanic Temple claim to share the exact same atheistic, individualistic core. Yet, as organizations, they absolutely despise each other. There is a deep, strategic reason why their foundational beliefs look identical, but the Satanic Temple aggressively refuses to be associated with Anton LaVey's legacy.
Himself sweep into the room in his long black cape and, here, kiss my ring or something.
Well, he was a theatrical person, and so everything he did had that aspect.
Suddenly there was this man who looked like the devil, to the popular culture and was talking about Satan as this positive role model.
And if you look closely at how they operate today, you will realize that this modern iteration is infinitely trickier, highly sophisticated, and far more dangerous than LaVey's circus could ever dream to be. If you want to infiltrate a society, you don't wear a monster mask, you wear a tailored suit, you speak the language of human rights, compassion, and justice. This is the exact strategy of the Satanic Temple. If you sit down and read their official 7 tenets, your first instinct is to think that absolutely nothing is wrong with them. They advocate for acting with compassion, respecting bodily autonomy, and standing up for scientific skepticism. On paper, it sounds like a beautifully progressive, completely harmless manifesto, but this is the ultimate trick of the system. Every single one of these tenets is carefully engineered to sound good to a secular world until you pay attention to what is missing. There is no accountability to a higher power, and there is no objective moral boundary. When you strip away the flowery language, these tenets ultimately circle back to the same destination: me, myself, and my desires. It is a highly sophisticated packaging of the exact unchecked pride that caused Satan to be banished from the heavens in the first place. Because they have cloaked themselves in the legal definition of a religion, they have unlocked a terrifying level of access to the most vulnerable segment of society: our children. They are making a calculated wave to overpower traditional religious influence, and they started it exactly where the future is shaped: the classroom. Enter the after-school Satan Club. Their legal argument to the authorities is devastatingly rational and nearly impossible to fight under modern secular law. They stand before school boards and the Supreme Court and say, if Christian clubs, prayer groups, or good news clubs are allowed to operate on school grounds after hours, then by law, you cannot discriminate against us. We are a recognized religion, and you must let us in. It is a brilliant and ruthless legal checkmate. It forces public schools into a corner to either ban every single religious community expression entirely, or hand over a classroom to an organization using the imagery of the devil. They don't even care about teaching the children rituals. They care about normalizing their existence. To the secular world, this looks like a modern legal loophole, but to anyone who understands the Quran, this blueprint was exposed over 1,400 years ago. This is the literal execution of the warning given to us in Surah Al-Isra, verse 64. And incite whoever you can among them with your voice, and assault them with your horses and foot soldiers, and become a partner in their wealth and their children, and make promises to them. But Satan does not promise them except delusion. Look closely at the verse. It lays out the entire modern landscape step by step. Infiltrating their education system, targeting the youth, normalizing the occult in front of their eyes. This isn't an accidental cultural shift. They have been manipulating the masses with their voices and their foot soldiers all along. And if you look at who those soldiers actually are today, the picture becomes terrifyingly clear. And incite whoever you can among them with your voice, and assault them with your horses and foot soldiers. If you didn't understand what those soldiers looked like 1,400 years ago, you can see them clearly now on any television screen, smartphone, or stadium stage. The front line of this psychological warfare isn't fought with swords. It's fought with rhythms, aesthetics, and influence. For decades, the concept of a celebrity selling their soul to the devil has been casually brushed aside by the mainstream media as a cheap marketing gimmick and running joke. But when you look at the raw documentation, the joke disappears. The bargain is a deliberate exchange. Unparalleled fame, global reach, and astronomical success, bartered in return for becoming a literal megaphone for the ideology of the self. You don't have to take my word for it. Listen to their own confessions.
Sold my soul to the devil.
I sold my soul for about $55.
I sold my soul to the devil. I know it's a crappy deal. Lisa came with a few toys like a Happy Meal.
Had we sold our soul to the devil? How else can you explain us being here on the
Well, it goes back to the destiny thing. I mean, I made a bargain with it, a long time ago, and I'm holding up my end.
What was your bargain?
To get where I am now.
Should I ask who you made the bargain with?
with the chief commander.
On this earth?
And on this earth, and then in a world we can't see.
And it's sounding a little bit strange, and I'm like, if you don't get this right now, I swear to Lucifer, I'm gonna.
Who wants to pray to the devil with me? Who's in with me? Come on, hey, let me see those horns. Dear Dark Lord Satan, hope everything's good with you. Ask you to grant tonight's nominees continued success in the music industry.
I'm trapped. If I can go back, I never would have rapped. I sold my soul to the devil, I'll never get it back. I just want to leave this game with level head intact. Okay.
Hell is where our agents make our deals with the devil.
I kind of sang about, what was going on in my life at 15, and that's how I got introduced to the music industry. Because I swear I wanted to be like the Amy Grant of music. Yeah. But it didn't work out, and so I sold my soul to the devil. It didn't work out, and so I sold my soul to the devil.
This isn't artistry anymore. It is public ritual.
We make music for a purpose. It's not just background music, or it's not just you know, fluffy, light stuff.
This is not elevator satanic music.
It's ritualistic music. It is music that by even the act of listening to it, you are participating in a satanic ritual.
Think back to the collective public confusion when Sam Smith performed an overtly occult, crimson-soaked routine on primetime international television, sponsored directly by major pharmaceutical companies. Look at Lil Nas X, who launched an entire marketing campaign around a music video explicitly depicting intimate acts with a demonic entity. He didn't stop at the video. He manufactured and marketed the Satan shoes, 666 pairs of modified trainers customized with an inverted pentagram and containing a drop of real human blood mixed into the sole. The most disturbing part is that they were sold out completely under 1 minute, and I hope you all know the reason of deliberately adding a drop of human blood into the soles and how special the blood is in satanic rituals.
Just a few drops, but yes, we do consume each other's blood on occasion for ritual purposes.
This is how the soldiers execute the mandate to become a partner in their children. If you try to introduce a child to a goat-headed idol directly in a classroom, parents will riot. But if you wrap that exact same entity in a high-budget, beautifully produced streaming series, the defenses drop entirely. Take a look at the modern television landscape. On Netflix, Lucifer ran for 6 massive seasons, presenting the ultimate archetype of rebellion as a hot, charming, deeply misunderstood, and relatable hero. The chilling adventures of Sabrina takes a beloved teenage character and explicitly relocates her into a highly idealized satanic boarding school, making the dark aesthetic look chic, empowering, and fashionable. Wednesday adopts the exact same dark, gothic occult palette, transforming it into a massive global trend for millions of young girls on TikTok. Then you look closer at titles like Sexify or Elite, where the plots are drowning in unnecessary nudity, casual drug abuse, hypersexualization, and toxic manipulation. And it is all defended under the sacred banner of art and empowerment. Art has no boundaries, we are told, but why does the boundary always seem to break in only one specific direction? Why does the ultimate destination of modern creative freedom almost always end up manifesting as the occult, the subversion of natural boundaries, and the absolute glorification of the ego? They think they are playing a game of clever branding and artistic rebellion, just like Anton LaVey thought he was running a clever circus in 1966. But the problem with inviting a force into your system is that you eventually have to face the bill. And for the founder of the Church of Satan himself, the bill came due in a dark room at St. Mary's Traditional Catholic Hospital in San Francisco. The ultimate irony of the man who preached that human beings are their own gods, judgment is a myth, and that traditional faith is a joke, is that when his own biological system began to fail, the facade shattered completely. On October 29th, 1997, his nurse recorded his final, panicked, terror-stricken words on this earth.
He was on his deathbed, and for a Satanist at the time of death, it's a great victory for them because death is a huge thing that they celebrate. And he was getting ready to die and pass on his powers and that. And on his deathbed, he must have got some revelation or an angelic appearance or something. And he went into shock and he said, "Oh my, oh my, what have I done?" He said, "There's something very wrong. There's something very wrong. There's something very wrong."
Wow. That was all for today, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe.